KSOL Black Talk Radio, the new black media. So family, a California district judge tosses a United States case against members of a white nationalist group. Now you've heard from other YouTubers who have reported on this very situation where the law or these so-called authorities are dismissing cases against white supremacists. This is yet another example just this week. So a United States district judge this week tossed out a case by federal prosecutors against members of a white nationalist group accused of conspiring to incite riots at political rallies just a day before House Democrats pressed top FBI officials over the government's response to the rising threat of white supremacist extremism. The case underscored the challenges the government faces in successfully prosecuting white nationalists accused of advocating or planning acts of violence with the absence of a federal law that explicitly addresses domestic terrorism. So in other words, family, what they're saying is, because there's no law on the books that explicitly, specifically specifies domestic terrorism, as if they don't know, because they can always go back to Timothy McVeigh, because that was a domestic terrorist act. And we have other examples, plenty other examples. They just have refused to call it exactly that. But I digress. A United States District Judge, Carmack J. Carney, and I believe it's important for us to remember these names because I think it's time that we start holding these judges accountable for their actions. You know, like the judges and prosecutors and police officers in the Central Park 5 fiasco, if you will. But again, I digress. United States District Judge Carmack J. Carney, I said that name a second time, on Monday dismissed a series of charges under the Anti-Riot Act brought last October against Robert Rundo, Robert Bowman, and Aaron Eason, all members of Rise Above Movement, or R.A.M., R.A.M., an organization that a United States Attorney's Office in California previously called, quote, a white supremacy extremist group, unquote. Carney's ruling argued against the Anti-Riot Act as, quote, unconstitutionally overbroad, in violation of the First Amendment, unquote, and said the government's charges largely dealt with behavior protected as free speech. So, do you understand the words that they're saying here? Because these are the same arguments that black people, black Americans in particular, American descendants of slaves should be using these same talking points when they try to come against us with these lame arguments. We need to be using the same arguments that they use. But I digress. Tyler Laub, a separate member of the group named in the government's initial indictment, previously pleaded guilty in November to a single count of conspiracy, but following Carney's ruling, Laub requested on Tuesday to withdraw his guilty plea and similarly have the charges against him dismissed. In the government's initial indictment, Rundo, Bowman, Eason, and Laub were accused of traveling to political rallies, including the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, in August of 2017, and working with other Rise Above movement members to organize ways to violently attack counter-protesters and start riots. In Charlottesville, that violence escalated to a point where self-avowed neo-Nazi James Alex Fields rammed his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer. Fields pleaded guilty in March to 29 counts of violating federal hate crime law. Rundo, one of the group's founding members, and Bowman specifically were featured in videos posted online by Rise Above Movement where they offered combat training tips interspersed with clips of masked members fighting with protesters at rallies. The group was also accused of attacking counter-protesters during a pro-Trump rally in Huntington Beach, California in March of 2017, followed by the violent rally in Berkeley just weeks later, with the indictment pointing specifically to videos uploaded online showing the four involved in the middle of several altercations. So you see, these type of violent groups like this, these white nationalist violent activity, and just overall racist, because that's exactly what they are. They plan and carry out violent acts. They try to incite riots. They have done so, and I would even venture as far as saying that they are also responsible for the death of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville for inciting people into violent acts. And therefore, I would say that it's groups like this that our government has failed to deal with appropriately, why we are still dealing with a lot of problems in America, and she will never be great again as long as we have groups like this existing in America. That's a fact. You can sugarcoat anything the way you want to, but you'll never be able to sugarcoat the truth. It is what it is, and you can never change that. This is KSOL, Black Talk Radio. I hope you like, share, and more importantly, leave a comment if you so choose. Thanks for your time. We'll see you in the next video.